Good afternoon and welcome to today's SRDS.com Media Pro webinar. Today's session covers the fundamentals of programmatic direct buying. I'm excited to have you join us as we learn more about the programmatic landscape, what it is, how it has evolved and continues to evolve, and the different ways to buy programmatically. If any of you are like me and the mere mention of the term programmatic makes your head spin, after today, I hope you'll all have a solid foundation on which to build your programmatic knowledge base. We've got a lot to cover today, so we've scheduled 45 minutes of your time. In order to keep things moving and to make sure we get through it all, I respectfully ask that everyone please mute your phone line. I would suggest you get closer. We're planning on doing our best to accommodate some time for questions at a few points throughout the session, as well as at the end of the webinar, questions throughout the session via the WebEx chat box to the host. We're also going to be sending out a link later today with the recording from today's session. You'll also be able to find the link when you sign in to SRDS.com later in the week. As many of you know, my name is Tina Stevens, and I'm a corporate trainer for Kantar Media SRDS. I'm joined today by Denise Kramer, our Director of Strategic Agency Sales. Denise works with many of our integrated and digital agencies around the country. Denise will be delivering today's content to get you up to speed. I'll note that today's session on programmatic is the third in a multi-part series on digital media. You can find our other digital webinars available on demand by logging into the SRDS.com planning platform. The first focused on how to find and evaluate networks and other ad tech companies, while the second tackled direct-to-publisher buying, including how to discover and differentiate websites for advertising. With all of the business and logistics out of the way, let me welcome you all again, and let's get started. Denise, I'm going to turn it over to you, so please take it away.
Thanks for the introduction, Tina, and thanks to everyone who's joining us today to hear about the fundamentals of programmatic ad buying, or simply put, using technology to buy and sell digital ads. At the end of this, I'm hoping you'll have some more knowledge around today's digital advertising ecosystem, the basics of programmatic, and the benefits of guaranteed direct and private marketplace deals. I'm also excited to introduce you to our brand new programmatic initiative, which launches this summer. As you probably know, digital advertising continues to evolve rapidly as new technologies emerge. In just the last few years, there have been significant changes in buying and selling. And while it's true that the digital ad ecosystem is complex and many of the players often overlap, there's no doubt that it has made media buying much more efficient. Buyers don't have to go directly to the publisher anymore. Of course, they still can, but there are several third-party technologies that may offer a more efficient way to access inventory or impressions. From networks to exchanges to the DSPs and SSPs, there are many ways to access, bid for, and buy inventory or impressions. And now that much of that buying is more automatic, it's more important that we have the necessary information in order to make good decisions for our clients and brands. Key industry resources are reporting this as well. Programmatic buying is still a mystery to most marketers. A study conducted by the Association of National Advertisers and Forrester revealed that just 23% of respondents understood programmatic buying and use it. 26% said they understand the concept but need to learn more. 29% said they've heard the term but don't have a clear understanding of it. And 12% said they were completely unaware of programmatic buying. Essentially, less than 1/4 of marketers get it when it comes to the use of programmatic advertising. Now, of course, there are early adopters, especially the financial market. Amex recently announced its plans to shift 100% of its online ad budget to programmatic channels. And they're not alone. The key marketing journal for the financial industry reports that 33% of online ads are going through programmatic channels. And they expect half of all big financial brands to use it for both brand awareness and direct response. In today's webinar, I'm going to talk about many of the ways advertisers and their agencies buy digital ad inventory. First, I'll touch on direct-to-site buying. Then we'll segue into some of the third-party providers like ad networks and ad exchanges. Finally, we'll cover programmatic options and what automation really means for new ways to buy, specifically around private exchanges and guaranteed direct buying. So let's get into it, starting with the original way to purchase ad space, directly from the publisher. Now, we're all probably familiar with contacting digital publishers in order to discuss rates, availability, and finalize a buy. It's a manual and a potentially time-consuming process because there are back-and-forth negotiations. But there are many reasons why advertisers continue to choose this method. For example, it may be the best way to find all available inventory that a publisher has to offer across channels, both digital and traditional. There are also long-tail sites that may only be available this way. And with direct-to-publisher, we know exactly what we're buying. So there are definitely benefits to going direct-to-publisher, especially if we're looking for a more integrated program. You know all the inventory across channels and can probably get a unique program if you want it. You negotiate and have complete transparency over price. You have control on where your ads run and can make sure the editorial doesn't conflict with your brand image or messaging. But there are some challenges. The process of buying direct is completely manual, which can lead to inefficiencies. It may take up a lot of time. It forces a buyer to manage several different relationships with every publisher they work with. So while there are reasons to go direct, these inefficiencies spurred new advertising technology players to emerge. Ad networks were the first to do so. Ad networks serve as added value intermediaries between digital buyers and sellers. As you all probably know, many advertisers don't have the time or resources to find all the right sites to run their ads. Similarly, many publishers don't have time to market themselves widely. Online ad networks make it easier for both sides to connect. Real quickly, let's run through how networks work. A publisher's sales management passes unsold inventory to a network, and in turn, that network offers advertisers access to that unsold inventory. The network buys remnant inventory upfront for X dollars and will sell it for Y. Networks offer buyers access to inventory across many publishers with less effort than buying direct. Using an ad network, buyers can coordinate efficient campaigns across a multitude of sites, aggregate inventory from publishers, and segment audiences. Often a network offers lower rates than buying direct because of the fact that it's remnant inventory. There are many different categories of digital ad networks. You could see a targeted network that serves ads based on the context of a publisher's page, audience segments, or user behavior. There are vertical networks that often represent a group of publishers within a specific sector. Let's say, for example, a network dedicated to food and recipes. There are also performance networks, which are more likely composed of a variety of sites and content, so they offer a more general audience. Their advertisers are typically focused on getting clicks from a general audience rather than showing targeted ads to a specific niche. While networks offer flexible options to provide reach on many sites at lower costs using one contact, there may also be minimal or no control over what sites the ad serves on, a lack of transparency with cost and ROI, and a chance of running with conflicting editorial. So you have to find the right balance for your client, campaign, and budget. So let's walk through an example of when you might go through a network. Let's say your client, a fishing tackle company, is looking to advertise its new fishing rod online to raise brand awareness and drive direct response. The client would like to advertise on a variety of fishing enthusiast sites, but you don't have time to contact every publisher. You could look for a network like Fishlight Net that has inventory from that category. You don't have to deal with individual publishers and can get the message to the right people on the right sites about the new product. Networks like the one in the previous example are possible because of technology and technology developments. The needs of different players in the relationship have created other platforms to change the process, particularly the demand-side platforms and supply-side platforms. Buyers like you wanted easier ways to find options, and publishers wanted automated ways to deliver their availability. So let's do a quick review of DSP and SSP before we move forward. A demand-side platform, or DSP, is a technology platform that allows digital media buyers to manage several ad exchanges, ad networks, and data exchanges through one centralized user interface. Media buyers input parameters and goals into the DSP, and the DSP identifies advertising opportunities across multiple networks and exchanges, finds the best prices for the most views in the target demographic, and then execute the buys automatically. DSPs provide access to many opportunities in one place and often have employees to handle any manual tracking or bidding on clients' behalf. On the other side, a supply-side platform or sell-side platform does the same sort of thing for the publisher. An SSP is a technology platform used by publishers that offer outsourced media selling and ad network management services. Many large web publishers use an SSP to automate and optimize the selling of their digital media space. SSPs are now more popular among publishers who see them as a way to stave off the price dilution that occurs as agencies and brands increasingly allocate ad spend to demand-side platforms and ad networks. We're going to pause here for a minute to see if there are any questions about what we've covered so far, whether site direct, networks, DSPs, or SSPs.
Okay, give me a second to go through these questions and see what we got. This one is related to direct-to-publisher. Is it really worth the time to go directly to the individual websites anymore?
That's a great question. Yes, there are times when it makes sense to go directly to the publisher. There may be instances where you need more information about their audience and their audience's engagement with the site. You may want additional exposure for your brand or your client's brand rather through sponsoring opportunities like webinars or events, or perhaps you want to work with a print publication as well. There also may be the reps are also the best way to find out about all available inventory, whether it's through third parties or direct.
Okay, Denise, hold on one more second. Let me look. This one is related to ad inventory. How do you know if something is remnant, premium, or does it really matter?
Those terms are pretty subjective, and publishers can be sensitive about them. Most often, premium is ad space on a site that a publisher has deemed higher quality and subsequently attempts to sell it at a higher price. It may be above the fold on a popular section of the site with more visitors, or visitors tend to spend more time on those particular pages. Whereas remnant inventory is ad space on a site that is harder to sell, so it typically has a lower cost. It's usually offloaded to ad networks or blind RTB exchanges.
All right, I think we can fit one short one in. This one is also related to networks. Some networks try to differentiate themselves by getting designations like IAB certification. What is that?
So the IAB basically created a program to improve buyer control over ad placement and context. So only ad networks and exchanges that undergo training, conduct an internal audit, and actually assign a compliance officer to maintain the IAB's assurance guidelines receive a compliance seal from the IAB. So it's basically just a way for an advertiser to have more assurance from the network, assurance about the network and its transparency.
Okay, I think that's all we have time for, so I'll turn it back to you.
Okay. So soon after networks emerged, as technology advanced, exchanges came on the scene. Everyone knows how much is tracked on the web about users and sites, so agencies and advertisers naturally demanded a way to purchase impressions, not just inventory. And they wanted to do it in real time. Buyers wanted to name their price and get the most bang for their buck, and that's what we can do through ad exchanges. Online ad exchanges are real-time bidding technology platforms that expedite, facilitate, and simplify the buying and selling of ad inventory from publishers and ad networks to advertisers. Here's how exchanges work. A publisher's sales management sends remnant inventory through an SSP or directly to an exchange. Agencies, advertisers, and even DSPs can bid on each impression in real time. So when a visitor goes to a page on a website, technology from that website sends information about the visitor and the position of that impression to the ad exchange. The ad exchange presents that information to the buyers who bid to appear in front of that visitor. The exchange then instantly presents the prepared creative to that user. This typically happens in a third of a second. Buying is done based on specific rules. For example, impressions are tagged so they can target individuals based on a number of factors, including demographics, buying behavior, or recent browsing history. The decision to bid is often based on that information. Exchanges allow advertisers to buy direct inventory without middlemen inflating costs. They give advertisers efficiency in expensive impressions and the ability to purchase very specific audiences. They allow publishers to control supply and pricing and monetize previously unsold inventory. But like networks, you may have minimal or no control over site selection and positioning on sites. And there is, again, that possibility of your ad appearing with conflicting editorial. So for example, let's say an agency's client, a high-end organic food manufacturer, is looking to advertise their new gluten-free baking ingredients to affluent moms who cook. They're not as concerned about specific sites, but really want to focus on reaching that target audience. Using its DSP, the agency decides to plug into several open ad exchanges, set up their rules, and purchase less expensive impressions to reach that specific audience. That way, the agency doesn't have to deal with each publisher or even each ad exchange. They can focus on the audience strategy and then optimize as necessary. We're going to pause for a quick second to see if there are any questions specifically about exchanges.
Okay, give me another second to kind of scan through what we've gotten here. Remind us about the definition of audience buying.
Yeah, so with audience buying, it's basically when you directly purchase segments based on data that's been assembled about them. This might include demographics, interests, recent behaviors. For example, audience buying could give a buyer the ability to target consumers who could be planning a vacation and then place ads on all of the sites they might visit, in contrast just to your standard airline, hotel, and vacation sites.
Okay. Give me one more second. So exchanges are like working with a network because buyers still can't choose the sites they want to advertise in, and you're strictly just buying an audience?
That is correct. It is generally a blind buy based on audience.
Okay, and this one, can you recommend a good DSP?
Well, I really can't make any, I'm not in a position to make any recommendations, but we do have a database on SRDS.com called Digital Networks and Tech that provides detailed information on various ad tech companies and their services. It's a huge time saver. We update it continuously, and it's a really quick, easy way to compare what these ad tech companies are offering and make a quick comparison.
Okay, I think that's all we have time for. So I'll turn it back to you.
All right. So although open ad exchanges offer impression-based audience buying, they also have limited transparency. Media buyers in general weren't happy with the limited transparency of the exchanges. They liked being able to buy impressions, but wanted to know where their ads were running. Private exchanges were created to meet this demand. Private exchanges are a subset of ad exchanges. They're sometimes referred to as private marketplaces. A private exchange is an invitation-only RTB auction owned by a publisher that is only open to select buyers. These private exchanges are designed to offer transparency with the ease of an exchange. Buyers are media professionals at agencies, agency trading desks, or even DSPs. Only authorized and approved buyers can purchase inventory through the private exchanges. In a private exchange, inventory is bought and sold in real time at an impression level. It's done through one-on-one deals between the publisher and buyer. Rubicon, Programmatic, and OpenX are all examples of SSPs that run private exchanges for publishers. For example, Hearst opened its exchange in 2012 through Programmatic. Programmatic also manages the U.S. marketplace of eBay, as well as Business Insider, Rodale, and Scripps. Rubicon Project manages the Wall Street Journal's marketplace. Private exchanges offer more control than open ad networks and exchanges. Buyers know the publisher and has more information about the inventory. They also deliver more transparency by guaranteeing access to a publisher's inventory before it is available publicly. This helps develop stronger partnerships with top publishers without the difficulty of direct deals. Advertisers can run campaigns at scale quickly and cost-effectively. The other things to know about private exchanges is that the prices are more likely higher than open exchanges because the buyer gets a first glance at what's available and knows more about where the ads will run. In addition, private exchanges are by invitation and typically only include bigger media companies and brands. So let's say Hearst has its private exchange managed by Programmatic. Hearst will monitor and control what buyers have access to inventory and approve certain advertisers, like a luxury car maker. The buyer will get an ID from Hearst and then have the ability to access and bid in real time on impressions that Hearst offers. In this case, the luxury car brand can still buy impressions against its specific target audience, but has the transparency where the ad serves. So before we move on to our next section, I'm going to pause for a second to see if there are any questions about private exchanges.
Okay, hold on. What do you mean by invitation only when you refer to invitation only in the exchange scenario?
So with invitation only, it just means that the publisher gets to choose who they allow to advertise on their site. They don't technically invite them to bid, but they don't necessarily let everyone in.
Okay, and this one relates to pricing. What is the difference, or what is fixed pricing versus auction pricing?
Auction pricing is when the price for an ad, impression, or placement is determined by the people bidding for it in the auction, and the highest bidder will simply win. Fixed pricing would be is basically a pricing model, an agreement where the buyer and seller determine a flat price the buyer will pay for the inventory or deal, and it's stated explicit in a contract.
Okay, that's all I've got for right now.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about another form of programmatic advertising called Guaranteed Direct. Guaranteed Direct refers to the automated direct sale of reserved ad inventory between a buyer and a seller. Through Guaranteed Direct, the publisher places and sets the price of its reserved ad inventory on a platform where buyers can go in and purchase it directly. Through this platform, buyers can buy reserved inventory from the publisher transparently. Guaranteed Direct ad buys don't involve an auction or bidding. Typically, a third-party Guaranteed Direct platform will integrate directly with the publisher's ad server so the publisher can guarantee impression and maintain control over its pricing and packaging. iSocket, Buy-Sell Ads, AdSlot, and Shiny Ads are all examples of ad tech companies that offer Guaranteed Direct platforms. There are some obvious benefits, the first being transparency. Unlike ad exchanges and networks that are blind, here the buyer determines what inventory to purchase from which publisher, They can determine ad position, campaign dates, any targeting options offered by the publisher. It's also an equalizer of sorts. Many of these platforms permit all advertisers access to their systems as long as the buyer signs up for an account, although some do have requirements to get qualified. Guaranteed direct platforms provide more automation, especially by digitizing the manual processes around IOs. So of course, these platforms can save you, the buyer's time. There's more control for the buyer as well. Instead of waiting for campaign performance data from the publisher, buyers can often go through the Guaranteed Direct platform for reports and then optimize as needed. Of course, there may be a higher cost associated than, say, through a network or open exchange. So how does this work? Let's say I'm buying for a bridal supplier. I'd visit the various platforms, type in my search term, or browse the publishers. When I come to a specific placement I'd like to buy, for example on the knot, I click to add it to my cart. I would then set specific parameters, including things like number of impressions and campaign dates. I can also add targeting if the publisher has enabled that. Then I'd upload my creative and send the digital IO to the publisher. They respond and approve it, and I'm ready to check out and pay. When the campaign runs, I simply manage and optimize it from the platform. Before we move ahead, are there any questions on Guaranteed Direct buying?
Can you give me a second again? Okay, so the main benefit of Guaranteed Direct is that you can do the buy automatically rather than calling the publisher?
Yes. Buying through Guaranteed Direct should reduce some time savings on the IO RFP process. And remember, you can buy direct from multiple media companies by going through such companies as iSocket or AdSlot.
And why do publishers want to sell their inventory this way? Wouldn't they rather sell it through their reps?
Well, to be honest, automation has benefits for them as well. They can have their reps spending more time with media planners and buyers who really want to talk to them about unique and integrated plans.
Okay. That's it for right now.
So buyers like you and your clients are at the center of this tangled network of digital buying options. As well as the options proliferating, the different companies are also adding new capabilities and blending into each other's space. That's because advertisers are spending. A January survey from Digiday and the Trade Desk showed that almost half of U.S. digital media and marketing professionals plan to invest between 21% and 50% of their premium display ad dollars programmatically this year. That's up from 31% of respondents in 2013. Furthermore, almost 20% reported plans to invest more than half of their budget programmatically this year. So are publishers getting on board with these programmatic direct methods? The answer is yes, some are. Companies like Microsoft, AOL, NBC, and the New York Times have all made headlines for either interest or commitment to guaranteed direct selling. In a 2013 survey from Digiday and OpenX, 68% of publishers in North America responded that programmatic had the ability to improve on the cumbersome drawn-out I/O process. As you can see, there are several new ways for buyers to access publisher inventory as well as impressions for specific audiences. Here at Kantar Media SRDS, we feel like it's our job to help you get a handle on this ever-changing industry and provide you with the resources you need to find websites for direct-to-publisher advertising, the third-party ad tech companies like networks, exchanges, DSPs, and SSPs, and these new programmatic capabilities. We already offer a database of over 20,000 websites that accept advertising to help you buy direct from the publisher, especially in those really niche markets. And this past fall, we added a section that profiles 150-plus digital networks, exchanges, and tech companies. It's easy to find out the services they offer, and we're continually updating it as they add capabilities. We're really excited this summer to be launching a new programmatic functionality in our digital service. We are aggregating, standardizing, and integrating the availability of programmatic digital ad inventory, including guaranteed direct and private marketplace, from key industry partners that offer these platforms. The inventory offered through private exchanges and through Guaranteed Direct will be in one place in SRDS.com. This functionality will enable you to use SRDS.com as the single interface to determine what premium guaranteed and private marketplace inventory a publisher has for sale, and then easily click to begin the buying process, rather than visiting and working with multiple companies. Specifically, you'll see what inventory a publisher has available for sale, what companies offer that inventory, and how to purchase inventory along with baseline pricing information. You will be able to access it from search results as shown here, as well as within a media property's full profile. So how will it work? A planner will see the specific digital ad inventory a publisher has for sale right from that publisher's SRDS.com profile, and will be able to connect immediately to the appropriate partner's site to complete a desired transaction. For example, let's say you do a search for the knot while you're in SRDS.com. You'll get a list of programmatic inventory available from our partners. It could be a 300 by 600 homepage unit. There could be geo-targeting available at, let's say, a $28 CPM. From there, you can click to initiate the programmatic buy of this inventory. To date, we've joined forces with Rubicon Project, Programmatic, OpenX, iSocket, AdSlot, Buy-Sell Ads, and Shiny Ads, and we'll be displaying their available publisher inventory and pricing to you. So as you can see, there's a ton going on in digital advertising right now. I hope that this gives you some more information about some of the newer and more automated ways to buy. When you foray into programmatic buying, there are obviously some questions to consider, such as, what's your target market? Is it broad, well-known, niche? Do you want to buy an audience or individual visitors? Do you need options that include print or other media? What level of transparency do you need, and where? What kind of people resources do you have for RTB or monitoring and adjusting your campaign? Do you want to participate in auctions? Do you already have access to exchanges? And as you can see, there's really no right answer. It's up to you to find the right solution for your brands or your clients' brands. It looks like we have a couple of minutes for some quick questions. So if you have a question, go ahead and please submit it through WebEx chat directly to the meeting host.
And give me just a second to kind of scan through what's come in, and we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. So hang tight for just a second. Okay, so when buying through private marketplace, can a publisher reject an advertiser?
Yes. With private marketplace versus open marketplace, publishers know who the advertisers are and can make the ultimate decision on whether or not the advertiser is a good fit for their site.
Okay, I hear the term trading desk often, but I don't quite understand what that means. Can you explain it?
Sure. Most of the agency holding companies now have a division that is solely responsible for buying ad inventory on exchanges, doing real-time buying, and these divisions are called trading desks. The agencies that are part of holding companies are advised to go through their trading desk to buy ad inventory programmatically. However, it is ultimately the client's call. So if the client asks the agent that the agency works directly with a particular network or exchange, then they will follow the client's request. You know, a few examples of trading desks are Omnicom, who has Acuin, and NBC Partners has Varick, and WPP has Xaxis.
Are most of your users involved in programmatic?
Yeah, so most of the largest agencies definitely are buying programmatically, but many of the rest are just beginning. We found that it really depends on the campaign, not just the size of the agency.
Okay. Related to your programmatic initiative, how many sites will have the programmatic inventory and pricing in their SRDS profiles, and will prices be negotiable?
Yeah, so we're currently working with 7 companies that are providing us their avails and pricing. We will be launching with the inventory from 3 companies that will cover over 3,500 ad units. So, and yes, the pricing will be negotiable.
Okay, and what is RTB?
Oh, RTB stands for real-time bidding. Oh, and yes, the presentation will be available.
Oh, all right. It looks like that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. As we mentioned earlier, the presentation will be sent out. A link to the recorded presentation will be sent out later today along with additional materials. And we'll be sure to answer all of the questions that we didn't answer that came in for you and all of our other users. I also wanted to point out, I know some of you may have had a hard time getting on the call at the beginning. If you did, just be aware we are offering the same webinar again on Tuesday, June 17th at 2 p.m. Eastern. So please let your coworkers know about it as well. And also, once I have a launch date for the programmatic functionality going live, I'll be in touch with you all to schedule a webinar overview for you and any other users of SRDS in your agency. And as always, I hope you know that we welcome questions and feedback either to myself, your account manager, or the service center. So again, I thank you for your time today, and I hope you walk away with a better knowledge of the programmatic landscape. Thanks again, and have a great afternoon.